Looking at the food that's in the grocery store. They say it's safe, everybody eat more. On second thought, I don't really know if it's made with those GMOs. So I'm looking for the non-GMO label. Before I bring it home, I put it on a table. I want to know if it's verified, so I don't harm myself with genetically modified.
We're here to tell people today about the GMOs that are in your food, even in Whole Foods food that you think might be good for you. We are asking big corporations like Whole Foods to petition the government to label foods that have genetically modified organisms in there. We all know that the government doesn't listen to consumers and they don't listen to individuals, but they'll certainly listen to a big company like Whole Foods. So we're asking Whole Foods, tell them to label our GMOs.
Hey, look, I don't want to eat poison. I don't want gene mutations at my dinner reservations. It's a food abomination.
Our campaign is called Millions Against Monsanto, and we really are serious about getting rid of companies like Monsanto. You know, if we had sensible regulations of corporations, companies like Monsanto wouldn't be allowed to exist. But, you know, without politicians and a government that's willing to regulate corporations like this, we're pretty powerless against them. But one sensible regulation that other countries have easily achieved is labeling of genetically modified organisms used in food ingredients. And Europe has labeling, but even China requires genetically modified organisms in food to be labeled. And a Monsanto spokesperson once said, if you stick a label that says genetically engineered on a food, that's like putting a skull and crossbones on it. And that's why Monsanto opposes any politician who might stand up for labeling. So whereas there have been good laws introduced, there's a genetically engineered Food Right to Know Act in Congress, there's a genetically engineered Food Right to Know Act in the Illinois state legislature right now. So there are valiant efforts on behalf of consumers that politicians who manage to stay independent of corporations like Monsanto are fighting right now. This is the battle they're working on. But until that is successful, and we have to support that, we also have to demand the same thing from the grocery stores where we shop, because that's the point of purchase. If we walk into a grocery store and we can't tell whether something is genetically modified or not, that's the grocer doing us a disservice.
I don't know what's in this!
Why would they label the product?
I don't know!
If they label them, nobody will buy them. And that's why they're not labeling them, because they don't have to label them. And in stores like Whole Foods that people go to because they care about what they're eating, they carry these products, which people don't realize. We're just trying to promote awareness about this, speak out against Monsanto and GMO foods. Look at these things that you wouldn't know had puffins, genetically modified, and it's not labeled. It's not labeled anywhere. There's no way to know, making it very difficult for the consumer to be in control. And so this, as far as we're concerned, is all biohazard, because there's no transparency. They don't tell us what it is. They're forcing this on a lot of poor countries as well.
The genetically modified organisms, DNA can actually spread into wild stocks and natural stocks too. So it's not just health impacts, but it's also ecological damage as well.
There are 2/3 of their items, of their sales, that's either marked as natural products or it's just general conventional products. That's where the suspect is. There's a lot of suspect in a lot of that stuff. And given that there's 90 something percent of soy and 85 or so percent of corn, which is GMO products out there in North America being grown, and that's where this stuff is made from.
Wouldn't it be cool to walk into Whole Foods or somewhere and that 1/3 of organic be in one section and everything else be in another section instead of all mixed around?
And all the while they're spreading their lies. Monsanto destroy our farmers' lives, and the FDA just keeps it all going, saying it's safe even though they all know it's just poison, stealing away your life. And that's what you eat, genetically modified. They don't want you to know. Poison they grow, profits they show. Take a stand against this food stand. It's a mission for the health condition worldwide, cause we don't wanna live genetically modified.
Whole Foods sells genetically modified organisms, and apparently they called the cops on us today. I thought that they supported the mandatory label of GMOs, but they don't. They sell genetically modified organisms, and they're willing to call the cops to get activists arrested on this issue.
FDA scientists said that GMOs might create allergies, toxins, new diseases, and nutritional problems. Allergies, toxins, toxins. And they said, no testing necessary.
Hi y'all, I'm Mike D.
I'm Alexis Badenmere. So we just got arrested at Whole Foods of all places. I never imagined when we started our campaign that it would result in activists getting arrested, but I guess I'm not surprised that the police grabbed the two of us because we organized the protest today. And it seems that they weren't necessarily as interested in shutting down the demonstration entirely as in discouraging people from doing this type of action. I think a lot of people aren't buying GMO free all the time because they don't, for one thing, they don't know which ingredients might be genetically engineered. And for another thing, even if you have the potential list of ingredients memorized, it takes 5 hours to go shopping at a gigantic store like Whole Foods.
That's a huge expectation.
You don't really, if you want to make a difference on this issue, it's not necessary to stand outside and picket and hold a banner and do a food dump like we did today. That was a lot of fun and I think it got their attention. But all you have to do is go into the Whole Foods and instead of spending an hour yourself in front of the soy products case or in front of the corn chips or in the vegetable oil aisle, rather than spending an hour reading the labels yourself, grab a store employee and say, I'm just tired of reading labels. Could you please tell me which one of these products here is GMO free? And so far, in the times that I've gone into Whole Foods and I've addressed store employees trying to get their help, right now they don't know either because it would take them a million years to read the packaging and to then be able to tell you for certain whether a suspect ingredient like corn or soy or cotton or canola or alfalfa or sugar beets or eggs or milk or a meat product, if any of the many ingredients that end up in products, multi-ingredient products, whether they are genetically modified or not. I went into a Whole Foods with a bunch of products that I had bought and I took them back to the customer service and I said, well, I've heard that there may be genetically engineered ingredients in foods that are sold here, so I just want to take all this stuff back. But just take back the stuff that's genetically engineered, and anything that you tell me that wasn't genetically engineered, I'll keep that, and I think that's okay to eat. And so they said to me, okay, well, is anything here organic? No. Is anything here non-GMO project verified? I said no. Is any of this here Whole Foods brand? Because we've been phasing out GMOs from Whole Foods brand products. And I said no. And they said, well, I'm just going to take it all back. I don't know what stuff here is genetically modified and what's not. So I think just interacting with store employees like that on a non-controversial or confrontational basis, just grabbing someone asking for a little bit of advice, I think it'll make Whole Foods realize that they don't even know themselves.
I don't know what's in there!
That's what all the consumers that are watching this need to do as well. Walk into your Whole Foods and say, hey, I really agree with this. We need to have labeling. You need to separate the stuff you know about and the stuff that you're suspect about needs to be separated as well.
Eat food, lets you know what's in it. Don't believe the propaganda, the press will spin it. Affects everybody, we all up in it. Stand up to Monsanto, tell him, oh no you didn't. Reject Franken foods in the store. Demand honest labels so we can be informed. We have a natural right to know what we buying. Just say no to GMO. Before our farms start dying, just say no to GMO. These corporate crooks are lying. Just say no to GMO. This time we're not complying. Just say no to GMO.